This conference will now be recorded.
Guys, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So, first of all, I think you must had a good, wonderful weekend, right? Relaxed and stuff. So, I wanted to really take you to the next level. That day we have tried creating or first of all installing Docker on the Docker host, right? We have tried to run few commands. Also created the image, okay, and then also created our account in Docker Hub. Try to push it to Docker Hub, log into Docker Hub, and all those things which we tried. Correct? Now, how many of you really tried that? Anyone facing any problem? Want to show something quickly, or should we move ahead? Gopinath, Nirosha, Anurag, Deva, anything from your guys? Nothing?
No, actually.
Okay. Have you tried that? But by the way, have you tried installing or creating the virtual machine? No?
Yes,
Yes?
Rohit, we have done that. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I know, Raman, you might have done that. I'm asking about others.
Okay, okay, sorry.
Because I know you are actually kind of like doing almost everything, whatever we are discussing. You are more vocal. However, I want to understand others. Like, are they following what we are doing here, or not able to understand anything? Please speak up, guys. Otherwise, I will assume that yes, you are understanding everything, and I'll move ahead. Perfect. No issues, guys. So let's connect. Let me share my screen. Okay, guys, can you see my screen? Just a quick check.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So that day we have kind of like installed it on our the virtual machine which we have. I'll just say Docker EPS here. Sees everything is good. I think it's not connected. So let me copy this sudo chmod and select. Okay, let me see all. So because we have actually restarted that one, so this is one of the issue which you have. You can really do it for the restart and everything. So all the things which we have created that day, they are all kind of like currently in a stop state. Maybe we can just go ahead and start one of this one which we have created. Oh, sorry, the container ID, and I'll just paste it here. Okay, and then Docker PS. Now I'm getting this one. It is running on 89 port, and if I go back again, as I mentioned, right, we were able to get it. Now after that also, what we did, we have kind of like pushed this to our Docker hub, and from there we have created one app service. And currently I've deleted that one, but we created an app service, and where we have added our code and provided that as a Docker hub. Correct? That's what we have tried that day. Now today I'm going to explain you how we can really do exactly same thing using ACR. Okay. Now why we are really doing ACR? There are a couple of reasons. Okay, let me discuss that, and let's go ahead continue with this one.
Uh, do you
Yeah.
have any documentation for this? Like if we don't get time to practice on same day when you discuss, like if you want to practice on after 1 or 2 days, just to follow all those things instead of
Mm-hmm.
going through complete video. uh, like if you provide any just documentation or
Document.
yeah,
Okay.
just for
Uh,
quick reference.
got it. Okay, no problem. But are you facing this challenge? Because I was so far assuming that you guys are really doing it. If you need any documentation, I'm actually, to be honest,
uh,
I'll tell you, yes, I wanted to really share with you. Somehow I'm not really getting that time, because I have to really record that, and and this is not a pre-recorded sessions, right? This is like I'm doing it live in front of you. That's could be the reason. But no worries, I'll take care about that one. Let's see how I can really come up
yeah,
with that one.
even like it's good, like we are getting that recording videos, but just for uh, going through this
No, no, I understand. I
practice.
understand that. I
Yeah,
understand. Yeah, yeah, I understand. I'll try to create that one. I'll definitely try to create it. Okay.
yeah, yeah, thank you.
Okay. Yes, no problem. Okay. So what I was saying that we have this, say, like a Docker hub, right, which we are really created. Perfect. Now everything whatever we can really do with all the images whatever we have, we can really go ahead and start putting the images on top of this. So all my images really can be there. Okay. So image one and image two, I can tag it based on whatever I want. This also gives me the enterprise level options, right? Or what a Docker Hub or GitHub, whatever we really have, they are all providing us the enterprise level, right? All the enterprise level integrations and everything that is really possible. Not enterprise. Okay. So even though it is giving me the free services and free stuff, but still it is like, it is enterprise ready, and we can really start putting our private images, as well as in case if we want any public images, we can really use it from this particular purpose. However, when we talk about the ACR, it is more cloud native, right? It is more Azure native. If we talk about it is more Azure native, which is also allowing us to really create the similar kind of a service, which is like a Docker Hub. The only thing, the only option, or the, you can say, the advantage of this ACR is that it can integrate easily with my AKS cluster, which is like Kubernetes or my services, right? So for example could be, in case if I want to connect to my private repository in Docker, I need to provide the username and a password. Then only it will really allow me to connect using the username password. But in case if I want to connect to my web application without using ACR, and that's what something which we are going to see, how we can really connect from the private repositories, because public is fine. Public we have anyways, we have connected using the public one. That is allowed. That is really easy to get connected with your Kubernetes or your Azure web app. I'm just putting as Azure web app. Can you please put up on mute? Sorry. Yeah. So say like you have a private repository, and here also it's like private, in case if we have. So the integration with this private and this private is seamless. It is like already embedded into this one. I don't need any special authentication in case if I want to connect to this ACR, the private ACR, to my web application or even my AKS cluster. But in case if I want to use my private authentication here, definitely I need to again connect, and I need to really provide that configuration here. That is something which you'll also see, how to really connect and get those configurations and everything. So that is the main reason why we are really trying to go into the ACR, and then why not really go Docker Hub. But yes, there are a lot of companies who are using Docker Hub as their own, or maybe a enterprise level registry. Okay, why? Because Docker Hub, once you have that, it become a more cloud agnostic. Now there are two concepts, right? What is cloud native and cloud agnostic? Now, or maybe Azure native or cloud native, whatever we call it as. Generally what happens whenever you have one cloud, right? Say like you have just one Azure, whatever services you are really using in Azure, they mostly get as a Azure native or a cloud native also, it's fine, but Azure native is something which we generally call it as. So that means all these services are really good in terms of the Azure. However, in case if I have other cloud providers, like I have GCP or AWS, no, all these cloud providers, now what happens? I really GCP. I really need to use this cloud Azure native services along with this, which are again that's not really very useful scenarios wherein they allow. It's not like they do not allow, but still it's not like a better option whether in the way it will get integrated with Azure, it might not really get integrated with other cloud providers. However, when we are working with the cloud, and this is more cloud native. Okay, now when we talk about the cloud agnostic. Now, when you talk about a cloud agnostic is the services actually which are really providing. They are not really biased with one particular cloud provider. Like they don't say that we like prefer more Azure or AWS or GCP. They can really get integrated the same level with any cloud provider. Any cloud provider, whatever the cloud you have, the integration experience will be exactly same. Okay, that's why most of the companies nowadays they are preferring some services which are not really binded with one particular cloud, but rather it is supported by multiple clouds. And this is a multi-cloud strategy, right? The one which we are talking about is a multi-cloud strategy, and companies are now going with this multi-cloud strategy. Now, why they really need a multi-cloud strategy? Because nowadays what happens, there are a lot of incidents happens during the outage of each of this cloud providers. So none of the cloud provider claim that they are providing 100% availability, even though they say that we are very highly secure, we are highly available, we are heavily resilient and all. But still, companies or I myself really seen a lot of time that AWS is going down, GCP services are not available, Azure is going down. So those kind of things are really increasing. So to make sure that they are not really getting any impact because of that, so say like tomorrow in case if Azure goes down, that means the service in Azure also will go down. I mean, like Azure means what, right? All the services. Azure is makeup of all the services. In case if Azure goes down or the services goes down, that means all my other applications will also go down, because that's where I'm creating a redundancy, right? In case if I use the Azure native services on other thing also, even though my services are running on AWS, but the source is not there. So that means what will happen? I'll lose my data. Similarly, there are a lot of services actually companies are using on your uh, cloud natives, right? For example, there is also service which we haven't talked about yet, but we'll talk about that one. Okay, Cosmos DB. Now, Cosmos DB is one of the service actually which is provided by Azure, which is more Azure native, and which is providing the NoSQL database, NoSQL. Okay, however, most of the people started working on this CosmoDB NoSQL database, but internally they all use MongoDB because MongoDB is the engine which is really running. Now, as we understand, right, uh, when we talk about the SQL, we have a lot of engines. Now, what those engines are: MySQL, SQL Server, Postgre, Oracle. These are all the engine or maybe the names actually of a tool which we are going to use. Similarly, MongoDB is also very popular NoSQL database. Now, when we talk about these things, companies started moving into something like a Mongo lab, because Mongo is becoming so popular or powerful that they really created their own SaaS solution, like a GitHub, right? That, as I mentioned, we have seen GitHub is also very popular from the cloud agnostic tool. We have a Docker Hub, which is also becoming more and more popular for all these services. So these are all services which are like cloud agnostic. They are all get integrated, and nowadays companies are really moving towards these cloud agnostic services rather than just going with one cloud native service. So far with me, guys, any questions on this one? Are you able to understand what I'm saying here?
So it means Azure native only for ICR. That's it, right? If you go cloud agnostic, it means multiple cloud, like ECR, GCR,
Yes.
integrating with
So
cloud.
yeah. Exactly, exactly. So in case if you have a AWS has their own different registry. Okay, it's I think they call it as a ECR. Yes, and then Google Cloud have Artifact Factory, Artifact Registry. So these are the three different services. But in case if you want to go with a multi-cloud, because if you have a multi-cloud strategy, always go for services which are more cloud agnostic. Don't go with cloud native services. Okay, that's again, it's all strategy, right? It's all a big based on what is your requirement. It's not like you always have to go for this multi-cloud strategy. It's only possible when you are having a like big enterprise, a lot of millions of users are going on your application. Even if your application is down for 1 minute, then you will lose millions of rupees or millions of dollars. Then definitely that's a strategy you have to really go with. Perfect. Okay, so let's continue with our stuff. So what we are going to do here, we are going to create ACR, and then we will again try to connect our ACR into our Docker host, and we'll try to push our image from this Docker hub. Let's go. So I'll go back to the resources. I'll just say container registry here. Okay, so we have this 1 minute container registry. Okay, so we have this container registries here. You can just click on this. Currently, I have created some container registries. Okay, I don't need this one. I'll just remove it. But it's okay. I can really do it later. That's fine. No problem. Let's create a new container registry. I'm going to name or put up this in something new. And just say Docker RK RG ECR new, something like this. And I'm going to mention the name of this container registry. And again, this should be all small and unique. RKACR new demo, like this. Okay, it's available. Center US is good. I'm going with the basic one. I don't really need this. Now there's one more thing which we can really enable here, right? You can also create a multiple or a multi-replicated container registry here, because what will happen that these container registry, the one which you are going to create, okay, if I create this particular ACR here, this ACR, right, we can deploy this into one region, or we can also have it multi-region. Now multi-region is always important, because in case if you lose a image here, okay, or maybe in one region, definitely you should have a another region available, so you can enable a sync between these two repositories. That's always important. So for the production one, you should always have a ACR which is really multi-region, multi-availability zone replicated. So in case something goes wrong, you will be having that immediately available. Perfect. So we can enable that one. Let's go with networking. Again, by default, it's public access. If I want, I can really enable private access. But for that, I need to select the premium plan here. Then only in that premium plan, it is really allowing me to enable only for private access. Public access, even though we are enabling this, that everybody will have access until I specifically provide it, right? Perfect. Okay. And then encryption is fine. I'm going to review and create. And let's create. Okay, so the registry is created. I'll go to my resource. Okay, I can see the access keys here. This is my Azure registry. Now, in case if I want to, do anything here, I can go to my repositories also. I think I should be able to see it. Let's see. Last time I was having some problem with this one. I don't know why this is really going well, but that's not a problem. Okay. In case if I now wants to really push anything and I want to see that how can I really do it, there is one option. First of all, we need to enable the access keys. So in case if I go back here, I need to copy this admin user, so I can start connecting to my ACR, and this is the password which I really can use it. Now to connect to my ACR, what I need to really do here is I need to use the Azure login option, and then only I'll be able to push it. It is also giving you some option here how you can really push to the container registry, how you can access the manage access controls and everything. So let's click on this and let's try to see how we can really do it. So what it is saying, you first need to put up a Azure login, okay, and then use something like a Azure ACR login and then hyphen hyphen name, and this is the name you can really go with. That's where you will be able to log into your Azure account or Azure ACR. And once you have that, you need to really make a change like this one. For example, here they're saying when you convert this like Docker uh, tag, okay, so Docker tag, you need to really put up something like this, as I mentioned, right? So I have created like ACR, sorry, RK ACR new demo slash samples, in case if I want to really create anything, whatever I haven't really created anything here, right? I can create anything here, and then slash I can really provide any name here. So that is the way I can really put up exactly the same way. If you remember that day, right, we instead of this MCR we created our own application, and I directly map it or renamed it, tagged it based on this one, and then just kind of like pushed it. Perfect. So let's go back again to our repository or to this one. I'll just say Azure AZ and just enter. We already here. I think AZ is not installed here. Let's log in one more time. And you can see, right, everything is controlled by the Azure login here. And unless you do the Azure login, unless you do some specific stuff, they will not really provide you the credentials and everything. That is again a very secured way to connect to your Azure. Instead of just username and a password, you have to really use some more mechanism. Yes, there are some ways also you can use Azure the admin credentials also if you want to really connect to that one. That is also possible. So let's see in case if we can use this admin credentials, but I don't want to really use it, right? I want to give it to a specific user so a user can really get access, so I can have a more controlled approach. Okay, so now I'm going with Azure login. I'll open this. I'll open it in a new tab. Go back. I'll copy this code here and say next. Okay, I've logged in. Continue. Okay, I've logged in here. Now let's go back. First of all, in case if I want to see that, whether I have some AZ, so AZ, ACR, these are some of the commands actually which you can really have list. Okay, so I can just say O table. I can see this is the ACR which I have really created. So I just have to do one more thing here, just copy this one, right? It's already giving me and it's already included the name of my ACR. So I'll just go here. I'll just paste it here. Control C and right click and enter. Okay, so it really created this one. Was denied, access denied. Okay, login successful, no problem, and I'm able to connect to my registry. Perfect. How can I really validate that one? I can really go back and try to first push this particular thing in case if I really have. So I already have some images, right? I have already created some images here. I'm going to use this web app image which I have created, right? This is my web app 2.1 which I have already created, or I can use my existing Python application which I have converted that day, but web app was actually looking better. So I'll just use this web app here, and I will convert this web app. Okay, this is the existing one, right, which is already there. So I can convert this image into the ACR capable image. How can I really do that? I just have to type docker tag. As I mentioned, it's already given here, right? You can see the docker tag and the name of the image what you want to really make a copy of, and then you have to make the actual copy of that image. So I'm just copy this one. I'll just say okay, this is the one which I have, and then I'm going to, first of all, sorry, I'll just copy this, paste it here, space, and I have my Azure repository name here, right? I'll just copy this, we'll put it here, slash, and then I'm going to name this to some, maybe say like web app. I'm just saying web app, and then I'm going inside this one. I'm going creating a folder or all my images. Maybe I can make it something like a project one. If I have multiple projects, I can really make it in a project one, and then I can say web app colon one. Okay, enter. What happened? Okay, actually, I haven't really provided a tag here, because here if you see, right, this is having a two tag here, so I need to really put up a two here. Okay, perfect. Now docker images. Okay, I can see that, okay, there is an image actually which is already there. Now I can see this is under the project web application one. Is everything is fine. Now let's see, in case if how can I really push it and whether it is getting pushed into my repository or not. So I'm going and saying docker push, and I'll have to just select this exact same thing. I'll just copy it, colon one, and enter. What happened? Requesters access to the resources denied. I think because they mention it like this one, we have to use the actual name, and this is the entire name we need to really update it, because you have to really get into something like this, because here it's not really allowing us to only update based on whatever we have. So I'm going to change it. Let's see, and let's replace this one with this one. Okay, so now let's enter, and now let's try to push. Let me see. And because here it's saying, right, if you see, it is trying to send it to the docker IO, which I don't want. Why? Because it really only took up the name of my ACR image, not the actual one. Now here I'm putting up the entire ACR thing. Let's see in case if I can really put it here. Now it is going up, right? So it's important that, even though there are some documentation things, we can still understand that how what is the best way actually to really put up it. Microsoft is not really updated their documentation for this one, but it's okay. I'll go back to my repository just to refresh. Sometimes it's not showing. I don't know why this issue is coming up. I've always tried that, but somehow it's not going. No issues. So it is still there. So we can really go back to our application service, and let's try to see in case if we can see that while implementing this in my web applications. I'll just click on web application here, and I'm going to select the 1 minute. If I go back to my ACR new, right, I'm just going to select, and I'm going to say RK new ACR demo. Perfect. I'm going to go Docker container here. Linux is US is fine. I'm going to go with the free one. I don't want anything here. I can just use a free one tier here. Tier. Next. Database I don't want. Now with this Docker one here, I have that option. Sorry, here I have the option that I can select from either a Docker Hub, private registry, or Azure Container Registry. I'm going to select this one, and now it automatically connect to my Azure registries, right? Let's see. In case if I go back to the one which I have just created, ACR new demo, I can see the project one web application is already populated, and I can see the tag which is already there. So now I can use this application saying that okay, and application here. I'm saying monitoring, next, and review and create. Okay, let's create. And it automatically took up the particular tags and the image whatever really I have, right? So this is already there and I can really start pushing it. Now this is again, as we are all doing, right? I'm showing you all this a manual way of creating things. We are not definitely going to do it in a manual way. We will be doing it completely in an automated way, because if you see, right, what we are doing and what the way or the flow which we have right now. So if I talk about the flow, flow is something like, as a user, I'm actually putting everything in my Git repository. Okay. Meanwhile, I'll just open this one so ensure that we have everything is fine, and then I'll explain you.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, with this manual way, like it's really confusing and the steps difficult to follow. So I don't know, like with this, like this procedure, like it is difficult to follow and understand, sir. And how about the automatic way? Like as you're telling, like we use that automatic way in the working environment, right? So will
Yes.
it be
So
helpful? Would be able to follow that?
exactly, you will be able to follow it, but you have to practice this. Unless walking, unless crawling, can you see that how can you be really running? Or do you want to directly take cycle and go, or bike and directly go? You have to first learn the walking thing, right? It's very
Mm-hmm.
important at least to understand the
Because like
walking and
No,
why.
in this
no,
Python,
Rohit,
Python
Rohit.
commands are
So
also used.
Mhm.
Python
sorry for
commands are
interrupting.
also used, which we are not
Rohit,
aware
sorry.
of.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry for interrupt. See, instead of deploying now, just completely explain about ACR. Then you just explain about web app deployment via ACR. So if you say both at a time, these guys will be confused. Definitely.
No, no. So are you
So
okay? Let me understand. Let me understand. Are you able to understand why we are using ACR or no?
yes, we do
Or
understand the
what is
ACR
ACR? Okay.
is a remote repository, okay, where we store
Yes.
our
Okay.
images, right? Like
Perfect.
Docker
Okay.
Hub.
Okay.
So that again, same thing. How we are going to push the images? How we are going to pull the images from the Docker Hub? Same thing here also. This is Azure
Right.
ACR, right?
Correct.
So
Hmm.
you just create the ACR and push it and pull it whatever you want to do it. Then third step you go to, I mean, create the Dockers. So if you do at a time all those things, this guy definitely will confuse.
No, I don't think that is the confusion with that option. I think his question is, how can we see the automated way? Is that correct? We are doing all
Actually,
this
it is
manual.
difficult. We are finding it difficult, sir, to understand because Python commands are used, and this part, like it's only little bit is we are able to follow. It's really total confusing.
Who is this? Gopinath?
Yeah, Gopinath.
Gopi, see,
Uh,
just as simple as ACR is also repository, like how we have Docker Hub. Okay, here
Mhm.
also say this ACR is provided by the Azure repository. So how we are
Mhm.
doing with the Azure Docker Hub, same thing we are going to do with ACR as well. How we are pulling the images, how we are pushing the images, same like that. But this is belongs to Azure. That's it. Rest of the part, everything like Docker Hub only.
Mhm.
Only
think
vendor
they
is
are not
different.
able to. No. They are not able to understand the overall concept, I believe. All the commands and everything, whatever I'm running. Is that correct, Gopinath?
Yes, sir. Yes, you are right.
Gopi,
It's
just
not
call me after.
ACR.
Yeah, you call me. I'll give my number. I'll explain a better way. Okay.
Okay, Ramya.
Okay. Go ahead, please.
Okay. No, sorry, but Ramana, do you think I'm not teaching it in a better way?
No, no. See, To be frank, I'm also trainer so long back. Now, due to COVID, I dropped all those things.
Okay.
Uh, Explanation is good. There is no doubt. I mean, doubt at all. Here, as Gopi mentioned, that confusing, right? So,
I want to
AC.
understand that one only, right? Look, let me be very honest, Ramana. I appreciate your thing, but this class is, I want people to ask me questions, not anybody else. If I'm not able to convince you guys, or if you are not able to understand, please let me know. I'm asking you 100 times. Nobody is
Yes,
telling
yes,
me. Nobody is giving me any answer since almost one
exactly.
month now. No month, when 1 month, nobody really came and asked me, and I'm every day I'm asking you guys that can you show me, can you share your screen, can you guys, like, I'm not talking specifically you, but everybody is mute all the time. This is to be honest, if you may ask me, and you can understand, Ramana, talking like this is a irritating. Seriously, I'm
Sorry,
telling
sorry.
you, this is not, no, no, this is locking continuously, not for you, I'm talking about continuously teaching, and there is no response. It's sometimes irritating
Okay.
because
So, no, no need.
as a trainer, you will understand that, you know, it should be more interactive because I should
Correct.
understand that whatever I'm selling. Otherwise, it's like recording a video where nobody is listening and I'm just continuously talking, which is not
So,
encouraging.
Rohit, now deployment is you just leave it left on deployment. You just explain ACR and log in the ACR and show how it is. Then start the deployment. If you do at a
That's
time,
it.
definitely they will
What
confuse.
that is
Definitely.
the way. Look again, Ramana. I understand that one. That is the way I'm really explaining. That's why I take a lot of time to explain you the theoretical piece. In the theoretical piece itself, if you guys are not able to follow, please let me know. Otherwise, there is
Sure.
no use of this training, guys.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah, that is
because
what.
practical, and again I'll tell you, if you just listen and if you don't follow, then believe me, you will not understand anything. So I want to really understand that one. So ask questions. Fine, Gopinath. I really appreciate you ask me. I can explain you the entire process one more time. I have no problem with that. I want you guys to really understand things very, very, in a nutshell, and why we are using it. I want to really give you the explanation that why we are using, and that's what I just explained, right? This is what I have just explained you why we are really using cloud native services, why we are using cloud agnostic services. What is this different between these stacks, right? And then I also give you that in case if I want to create a Docker hub and the ECR, ECR is more cloud native, it is more private, it is more like, you can really get integrated with your these things. I believe you guys should be able to understand it. In case if not, I can repeat it one more time, not a problem at all. Commands, yes, these commands are, again, these are very, very simple commands, and I'm going to explain you the flow, right? The flow is how we are doing it, and that's what I really wanted to start with. Just here I came, I know, and just here I came just to ensure that, I'm just clicking here, so it will take its own sweet time. Now don't ask me that, how this web application is getting created, because I've showed you many times that how to create a web application. The only difference is earlier we were actually using the, what you say, code, but now we are using Docker container. And why we are using Docker container? Because we are really using it more efficient rather than uploading the code. Docker is much more polished and really can be used here. Okay. One more thing here. So now you can see that, this particular thing got deployed. Let me go back. Now let me explain you how things are really moving at here and what we are really doing overall, what we have done. Okay. So say like as a user, I have uploaded everything in my Git repository. That's where everything really start, right? The user, whatever I have, say like in case if I go to say user icon here, I'm just saying this is the developer guy, right? Assume that there is a developer who is really there, and this developer is really pushing a code into your repository, whatever the repository we have, right? As we have seen that, okay, there is a repository he's developing and he's building, continuously working on that repository. Now the moment you see anything going into this particular repository, what we have done as a DevOps engineer, what I have done so far, is that I've actually created one virtual machine. Okay, and inside this virtual machine, we have pulled the code here, right? Everything, whatever we had, we pulled it into this particular thing. Using what command? We have used a Docker git pull or git clone here, right? These are some of the
Correct.
commands which we have really run, correct? Now, once we done with this particular command, then once we done with this command as a manual, because this is all manual what we are doing. What we done here is we went ahead and we actually run few things here with few tasks. If I talk about, we have run few tasks. What? First, install Docker. Okay. Second time, install, then tag or maybe build image, right? Whatever the image. Now, before this one, we need to really create a Docker file. Create Docker file, right? Then we have build a Docker image, and maybe we can say tag a Docker image, and then push Docker image. Now these are all things which we have done. Now in this one, say like next time, in case if a developer is making any change, and this is what we have kind of like going here. Okay, fine, everything is done with this option. Once I am done with this one, from here to my ACR or Docker Hub, whatever I call it as, right? Docker Hub or ACR, whatever I'm using, doesn't matter. I'm really pushing my image from here to here as this step. Push image Docker image. Now once my image is there in my Docker Hub or ACR, what I'm going to do, I'm going to deploy that into my uh, web application, right? Here I can really create a web application here, and I'm creating this one. Now inside web application, as we have seen that we can create multiple slots, right? So say like we can create dev, we can create production, and production is already there, but we can create dev and production. Say like there are two things which I have creating, right? Prod. I'll just say prod. Perfect. Now when I say prod here, in this particular context, in case if I go back and if I push it, I can either push it to the dev, or I can also push it in something like a production one. Now if I want to make this complete thing, and that is what the problem, right? Why? What is the problem statement here? The problem statement here is to first of all run everything on virtual machine. Okay, yes, you can skip this part because you can create one time. This is a one time activity, that installing, creating virtual machine and Docker. It's a one time activity, I understand that one. But do you think you will always go and log in into that Docker machine? You will build the image, you will manually tag that image, you will manually push that image. Maybe what you can do, you can create a small script. That also one of the option, but still it is a completely manual way you want to really do it. And similarly, in case if you create a new image here, because every time I'm going to uh, create a new image. So say like first time I've created a web application one, okay, colon one. Now I'm going to create web application colon 2, web application colon 3, like this way. And every time in a organization, you can see that it will always start with something like 1.2, 1.2.0, something like this. It is based on that particular version, maybe 1.2.1, 1.2.2. Like that way, they will go ahead and start adding more and more tags. They'll not go with 1, 2, 3, 4 tags. The version, right? Always a application version is really important. Now that version is continuously, because this is one way of doing things. Now every day you will also go and make a modification into your environment to manually do it. Definitely no. But unless you see all these steps, how can you automate? Guys, making automation, the first step is to do it manually. That's the first step. Whenever you see a car or any processes which are really getting in, that automation needs to be first of all thoroughly understood with the manual steps, and then convert those manual steps into something like automation. Okay, directly into automation jumping is not possible. You will not understand anything, because you will lose the crust up about, okay, what are steps I am really missing in this one. Getting my point? And that's where we will really get into something like a CI/CD pipeline. And this is where we will see that how the CI/CD pipeline is going to come into the picture, and how this is really helping. Now, in this context, right? In this context, we are already seeing few things. We have already seen a CI/CD pipeline that in case if I'm pushing anything from the code perspective, right? We have all seen that the moment I'm pushing a code to my Git repository, automatically there is one process started, that is from the GitHub action, but that only happened or only started with the code thing. Now in case if you have a code, it is automatically creating that one. Eventually it's all Docker, everything is happening Docker wise only, but we are not able to see. We are just seeing that okay, this is the code which change which is happening, and I'm really deploying that one. But whenever you are really working on these code things, it's not that easy, because you may have to do lot of things actually inside when you are deploying anything. You don't want to just put up a check a code and directly put up an production or development environment. No, you don't want to do it. As a production, as a enterprise architect, enterprise things, you definitely do not want that. You want to follow all these things, and same time you want to take the advantage of Docker file. So far with me, guys, any questions now? Gopinath, anything here? Are you able to follow that what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And yes, understand the pain and the chat, the thing what I why I'm actually showing you, because we have to go through and understand, as I mentioned, everything manual. Try to observe how things are really going manually. Maybe commands find out, because in case if I don't show you the command, you will never able to understand. Once you move it into the cloud, once you move it into the automation, you will hardly see Docker command. There is no Docker command at all you are really required. You will hardly see this git pull, git clone, git push. You will not see this. Once I move into something like a Visual Studio Code, or some tools actually when we start working on, which is really making our life more easy. Once you move it, you will not understand. But in interview, you will get questions. What is git clone? Why do you use Docker push? What is the Docker build? What is the Docker tag command? Because if you don't know basics, then forget about automation and everything, right? So this is very important. This is very important to understand the commands, and think. And if you are finding these commands very, maybe if you feel that these are like all the commands, commands, yes, but don't worry, these are all is everything new, right? You will find it difficult, but if you try maybe one time, two times, 100 times, things will be very simple.
Okay, sir.
Follow with me, guys. So practice, look, practice is important. If you are not doing a practice, I think someone just mentioned me that if you are finding a problem with the following me the videos, fine, no problem, I'll try to give you the document, so you can at least follow along with that document and you can really do it. Okay. But again, that is one thing I can really do it. I want you to get familiar with without documentation. How can you really do it first time? Yeah, I understand that one. You need a document, you need to follow certain steps, and all those things might be following the video might not be that easy. So yes, we can really skip that particular part, and that's why I wanted to really make those videos also very crisp, so we can really give you only that particular piece which is important, rather than all discussions and everything. But let's see. No problem, guys. Any more questions? Okay. No. Or any more,
So,
anything from your side? Yeah.
Rohit, open this Azure repository. Uh, it looks like a Docker Hub or a different GUI.
Which one?
ACR.
Okay, this one,
Log in.
right?
We logged. We created, right? Yeah, yeah. In URL.
The container registry. Container registry.
So it looks like a Docker Hub, but it's different. Okay.
No, no, no. It
This
will
is
it will look different. The UI will really look different. UI will not be exactly the way you will be seeing the Docker here. No, UI will not be same. UI will be always different.
yeah. That's
And
true.
that's the
That's true.
main thing, right? Open source, open source. Look, when you create a open source, again, how companies really use this open source technologies, what they really do. The open source technologies are always a backend. Okay, whatever you are really going to use, it's all about backend. So you have these backend things, right? You have created one app, and nowadays, as I mentioned, all these apps are actually exposing what? They are exposing APIs. Now how you want to consume this API is something which you can really do with. Okay, you can either create a CLI here using this API, that is also possible, or you can create a very beautiful dashboard here, or a UI, whatever you can generally call it as. Okay, now this UI can be anything, and that's my proprietary. How easy I want to make you things here, because you don't know, say like for example, right, when I'm talking about the Docker here, right? Now Docker desktop, if someone tried this Docker desktop is a very simple thing. Let me show you some snippet of Docker desktop. I actually download, I had that in my laptop, but somehow I've deleted that, but it was take a long, uh, it's a very heavy system actually. So Docker desktop, let me see. If you have a good configuration system or a laptop, then yes, you can really do it. I want to give you some Docker desktop. Let me see in case if I have that. No, I think I have removed it. No worries. So let me get some Docker desktops. Docker desktop, snap screenshots. So in this Docker desktop screenshot, you can simply do all this whatever activities you are doing using a CLI. You can do it everything using UI. Click on create image, or click on create a container or run container. Click, and then you should be able to do it everything. So this is like, maybe if I go to images, okay, like this way you can see it. So this is a UI based, right? You can see all the containers, images, volumes, all the socket scouts and everything. You can see the extension which you can really add. You can just click on actions. Okay, you can see the CPUs which is really running. You can delete this particular container here. This is the Docker desktop UI. Now if you want, you can try this one. This is also a good one for local development. But believe me, for the local development, you do not really need this. I want you to get more familiar with command line interface. Don't get familiar with this UI pieces. These are all not good, to be honest. It is okay to showcase and see all those things, which is kind of like simple, easy, but it is not very effective. Because as we move on, right, we are not going with only Docker. We are going to move on to something like a Kubernetes. And Kubernetes, again, they provide a very good UI and all those things, but I don't want you to really use UI. I'm going to give you a very efficient way of managing Kubernetes. And it's all about using the command line interface. So you have to get into the command line. You cannot really skip that piece. Okay. So automation, yes, it will be there, but how to do that automation, you need to understand that. And that automation is only possible using command lines, using scripts, using YAML files, JSON files, and they are not very difficult, guys. Don't worry. Don't get scared. Don't get worry about anything that, whether I'll be able to do it or not. You will be able to do it. Only thing is how much practice you do. It's all depend on that. Perfect.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so good. Try to do this particular piece. I will definitely send you some documentation by end of day today, so you can at least follow that along, and you should be able to work on this one. But yeah, I think let's get started, and I will ensure that you have all the documentation with you, so you can get it there. Perfect. Okay, guys, that's it for today then, and then we'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye bye.